And as I said, it will be the busiest day of this election season as voters of all 5 poll-bound states in the Union Territory to vote today. All the 234 constituencies, if we talk about Tamil Nadu, 140 constituencies of Kerala and 30 constituencies of the Union Territory of Puducherry. Will be the single and the final phase that these 2 states and 1 Union Territory will be witnessing in an hour's time from now. Well, it is the final phase of Assam polls where 40 constituencies go to vote, and voting will also be taking place in the 31 constituencies in the third of the 8th phase in the state of West Bengal today. So this morning, let's focus first up on the state of Kerala, where assembly polls in Kerala commencing in the 5 constituencies, importantly in the Thrissur district, namely Vadakancheri, we also have Thrissur, we have Kunnamkulam and we have Guruvayur, which are likely to witness a tight competition. Kerala's Palakkad constituency is also set to witness a tight competition with India's Metro Man and BJP's candidate E. Sridharan in the fray. We have Ashwin joining us early this morning for a quick live update, as we also will get a ground update as people have already started queuing up right before the polling booths today. Ashwin, good morning. Where the Kerala Assembly elections will be fought in a single phase for 140 seats, and you have been doing all the ground reporting. It's just an hour to go before we see the voting phase to begin.
Good morning, Amita. Yes, in fact, this is a day which will decide the fate of total number of 957 candidates, of which there will be only 140 winners. So the fate of these 957 candidates will be decided today, and it's a very interesting poll in this election as one of the most closely looked polls because this in Kerala it has always been a bipolar election. It has always been a fight between the LDF and the UDF, but for the first time that equation is changing, and it is the rise of the BJP as a third alternative which is right now being talked about. How many seats will BJP win is one question which Kerala is looking forward to. In the last elections, Kerala had got just 1 seat. It had opened its account. Now from 1, how much will it get? That's the first question that people in Kerala are definitely looking at. Second thing that people are looking at is, will the LDF be able to create history? Because for the last 44 years, there has always been a rotational government in the state. So that means that whether it's the LDF or the UDF has not been able to keep 2 terms together. So with this, will this create history when Pinarayi Vijayan-led government will get a 2nd term? That's the next question that people are very closely watching. Third important factor is whether when Congress we are witnessing Congress withering away slowly across the nation. Will the same pattern continue in Kerala as well, or will there be a rise of Congress from the very state of Kerala? And that is what is being looked at, because this is a state where Rahul Gandhi constituency of Wayanad also belongs to, and he has been campaigning vigorously over here. So will Congress be able to save one of its last bastions and rise back to power from the southern state? So all these questions are the big questions that are put forward. And alternatively, the 4th question, which obviously was the shift of voters, the shift of voting patterns in the state, especially the Christian community. Which side of the political spectrum will the Christian community vote for, which by and large will decide what will happen in the central Kerala as well. So all these great factors have come into play, and people are closely watching. And the Sabarimala issue, though it had created a big impact in the last Lok Sabha elections, where the LDF had lost almost all the seats, with the UDF gaining 19 seats out of 20 in the Lok Sabha. Will the same impact of Sabarimala will still be there in this upcoming elections? That is also being very closely watched. So I am at the first booth of CET College, where Kadagambally Surendran, who's contesting from Karakotam constituency, is pitted against Shobha Surendran, the BJP candidate, a very strong candidate, the vice president of the BJP, and also Dr. S.S. Lal, who's from the Congress, who had come all the way down from US wants to serve the country, and he is a Congress candidate. So a very, very tight contest is going to be witnessed in this particular constituency. Will Kadagambali Surendran, who was the Devasu minister, who was one of the face of the Sabrimala agitations and who was part of the government, will be able to become an MLA again? That's a big question, and the anti-incumbency is definitely there. And will Shobha Surendran be able to create history by winning the seat from here? And because this is a very very constituency in which even Yogi Adityanath came to campaign. So all these factors are put in place, and we need to see this a very, very, as I said, Amita, it's a very interesting elections. This elections particularly because the strength and the inroad, how much BJP will make, is definitely what people are looking at, especially when BJP has put out its development mascot, Metroman E. Sridharan, as a possibility, and that is where people, how much swing of votes will turn to.
Because Ashwin, we are talking about elections in a single phase in the state of Kerala, 140 assembly constituencies. Even though the Congress that holds the Palakkad seat, E. Sridharan might be hoping to jolt some shockwaves to Parambil's chances of re-elections. He's a very strong candidate from the Congress party, and he is hoping for a re-election. But will E. Sridharan upset those chances there? Because it is also his hometown, Ashwin.
Definitely. Yes, E. Sridharan is contesting at Palakkad constituency, and the sitting MLA is Shafi Parambil. Shafi Parambil is somebody who, we need to understand, the Palakkad constituency has got a big majority, a large majority of the Palakkad the Iyer community, the Palakkad Brahmins. Now, this is a big vote bank by itself. Now, and Shafi Parambil, the Congress candidate, have had a long-term good relationship with all the communities over here. So that is a strength. But when E. Sridharan has come into fore, this equation has completely changed, and that is where it is likely to be a very, very close contest, because just 2 days ago, the Palakkad, the particular community, the political community, had come forward saying that Metroman is a great, they had come forward, in fact, to support, as a voluntary group, they had come forward in large numbers to support Metroman. So how this very face of Metroman coming as a candidate, it has not just created a big wave in Palakkad constituency itself, but even in Palakkad district and across several other important urban constituencies as well. So this is the measuring which definitely the BJP political pundits are going to do. How much impact will E. Sridharan bring in? How will that convert into number of votes for the BJP is definitely will be considered. And also some of the big candidates of fate will also be decided. As I had mentioned earlier, Pinarayi Vijayan is standing in, the Chief Minister is standing from a very safe constituency. He will, and even K.K. Shailaja, these are all communist bastion. Otherwise, the other main leaders of the CPM, there is all, for instance, K.T. Jalil is facing a tough fight.
Well, if the exchange of power doesn't keep happening as it has been happening in the previous history of elections that are happening in Kerala, well, Kerala will only be left as the last red bastion in India. Thanks very much, Ashwin. In fact, I request you to continue to stay on with us, because I want also shift focus to the state of Tamil Nadu, because it is a battle between two-time ruling AIADMK versus their rivals, the challenger, the DMK. Also in the phrase, a high-profile new entrant, Kamal Hassan, the actor turned politician and a familiar player in TTV Dinakaran with his AMMK. Both the MNM and AMMK are contesting their first ever assembly elections. We have Apurva also joining us live this morning. Good morning to you, Apurva. Well, we are all set for a high-profile election because it is very different. The scenario that we witnessed in 2016, it is completely different in 2021. Not just two parties who are fighting against each other, but the scenario has widened.
Well, a very good morning to you too. As you can see, we are at one of the polling stations here in Chennai. Chennai has 16 constituencies here, and there will be 234 constituencies where people will will be going ahead in the entire Tamil Nadu to be casting their vote. We're at DG Vaishnav College, which is one of the polling booths here in Chennai. And as you can see, by the preparations that are going on, polling is expected to start at 7 a.m. this morning, and it will go on until 7 p.m. All the necessary arrangements have been done by the Election Commission out here. Every polling booth is being surveillance with CCTV cameras as well as web cameras as well. Several important arrangements have been made. Wheelchair accessibility has been given to the public for all those people who are not able to, elderly as well. Wheelchair accessibility has been given. All necessary arrangements have been made by the Election Commission. Remember, this will be the first major election that the state of Tamil Nadu will be witnessing after the death of both stalwart leaders J. Jayalalitha and Karunanidhi. It will be interesting to see who will take up this elections, who will be the victorious one. Will it be the AIADMK-led NDA alliance, or will it be the DMK-led Congress alliance, or will it altogether be a third front, which is AMMK or Makkal Needhi Mayam, which is led by actor and politician Kamal Hassan here in the state? It's all going to be going down to the numbers at the end of the day. Voting is today with numbers and results out on May 2nd. It will be interesting to see what kind of a battle it will be for politicians to battle it out in battleground.
Well, Apurva, let's talk about the key states and the key contests there, whether be it Thousand Lights, whether be it Coimbatore South, Aravakuruchi, and we also have Dharapuram there. So keep talking to us as we are looking at the high-profile contest, because it will be very interesting this time around as the elections are going to take place in a single phase, where Ashwin is also there, that's in Kerala, and where you are, that is in Tamil Nadu, single phase elections.
Single phase elections is going to be taking place not only in Tamil Nadu and Kerala, but also in the Union Territory of Puducherry. Puducherry is also going to be going to polls this day as well. 30 constituencies in Puducherry, 234 constituencies in Tamil Nadu. Key constituencies that we will be looking into Tamil Nadu includes Edappadi, which is the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Edappadi K. Palaniswamy's constituency, Bodhinayakanur, which is Deputy Chief Minister O. Pannirselvam's constituency, as well as Kovilpatti, that is the AMMK Chief TTV Dinakaran's constituency. We have Kamal, who is contesting from Coimbatore South, as well as BJP's senior leader and Mahila Morcha President Vanathi Srinivasan, who will be contesting against him at Coimbatore South. In Chennai as well, we have M.K. Stalin, who will be who's contesting from Kolattur. Udayanidhi Stalin, the DMK Youth Secretary, who will be contesting from Chepauk Tirvelikeni constituency, as well as Kushbu Sundar, who will be contesting from Thousand Lights from the BJP. And L. Murugan, who is the BJP's state president here in Tamil Nadu, will be contesting from Dharapuram. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had also, at the end of campaigning, had campaigned at Dharapuram for the last few days as well. So several important constituencies that we will have to keep a watch out for. It will be interesting to see of these constituencies, who will be the leading in the constituencies, who will be the winners. But ultimately, it does all come down to the key players who will be here in the state, who will be battling it out one-to-one in this assembly elections that will be taking place and the polling that will be taking place today.
Well, Apurva, because the battle for Tamil Nadu is mainly between son of the soil, E. Palaniswamy, and the chief minister in waiting, the MK chief, M.K. Stalin. So as I was speaking to Ashwin, in Kerala, we have seen the two main parties that have been alternating when it comes to forming the government. The similar scenario that has also been witnessed in the state of Tamil Nadu also. So when it comes to alternating power, the DMK has been out of power since the last 10 years, since 2011. But as you had mentioned, both the stalwart leaders, whether be it Jayalalitha, whether be it Karunanidhi, are no longer there. But we are looking at a completely new challenge that these two Dravidian parties will be facing.
It will be interesting to see what will be the outcome of these elections. Like you rightly mentioned, both the stalwart leaders, J. Jayalalitha and M. Karunanidhi, will not post their demise. This will be one of the major elections that will be taking place. All that the AIADMK will be waiting to see is that will they be able to secure that hat-trick, or will the DMK be able to get their rising sun up on the picture 10 years later? It'll all come down to the numbers. It'll all come down to who has made the greater impact on the people, what kind of promises has and incentives that several parties in their manifestos have released that has adhered to the people and resonated well with the people. It'll all come down to the numbers. Will it be either both these strong Dravidian parties that have been ruling the state of Tamil Nadu for several decades, or will it be a new front that will be formed under Makku?
Of course, we'll talk about all of the seats there, because it's going to be the most poll-heavy day that India today will be witnessing on the 6th of April, and that is not just Kerala and Tamil Nadu and also the adjoining Union Territory of Puducherry.